So what's up guys? Today we're going to go over cutting and maingaining, and we're going to talk about, in this video specifically, we're going to talk about the different aspects that come to cutting and maingaining, as well as the problems with cutting and maingaining, the definitions of these terms, and how misinformation has spread on YouTube fitness pretty much for the past, I would say, even years. You got different people spreading misinformation and so on, but I'm gonna get to that later down in the video. But that's what we're going to talk about for today. And then I'm going to also, towards the end of the video, talk about some solutions to these common problems if somebody happens to stumble upon this video and they perhaps are a victim of said cutting and maingaining. But anyways, let's get to the actual meat of the video. So let's start with maingaining. Now, what is actually maingaining? Now, maingaining is something where you're eating at a maintenance, and you're usually trying to build muscle at a maintenance or such. But maingaining as a whole is like a term that has like multiple, you could say, meanings, and I find that the different meanings are like pretty skewed, and like nobody actually knows what maingaining means. But to me, if I use the word maingaining, I would probably just talk about like maintenance mode. So eating at your maintenance calories and trying to build muscle that way. So like maybe like losing fat and gaining muscle over time very slowly. So I suppose that would be a recomp, sort of. But I feel like that's what maingaining actually is a recomp. And that's how many people use the different term for some reason. Now, maingaining comes from different people. You got people like Greg Doucette, for example, who talk about maingaining a lot. I haven't watched his content honestly in the past like over a year at least. I haven't watched any of his videos, so I have no idea what he still spreads nowadays. But it's been pretty prevalent in the last year. From what I've seen in YouTube fitness, is still people talking about maingaining and all these things. Now, maingaining or recomp, whatever you wanna say, you would use it basically when you're at a certain high body fat and you wanna recomp down slowly while still gaining muscle and losing fat. So that's basically where you use it, but recomp isn't something that people usually like doing because it's so slow. Now, cutting. Cutting is something you do obviously when usually at the end of a bulk. So you cut down your body fat. So let's say you're at 18 and you're cutting it down to like 11 or something percent, or even 12% body fat. And that's basically when you go into a calorie deficit and you're trying to lose a lot of fat. It can be fast, slow, however you lower your calories, it depends on that. That's how you usually use cutting. And about cutting, I would say the biggest problem with cutting in this era right now that we're going in is that cutting is promoted as like this ideal thing to do, but the matter of fact is when you're cutting you can't really gain muscle unless you have really good genetics, or genetics predisposed to being able to inherently gain muscle while cutting. And most people most likely do not have the genetics for that, and that is the problem. But everybody spreads this Hollywood physique, you got Kino Body and all these other people spreading sort of this false myth of, oh, it's good to be shredded and that's the ideal thing, is to be shredded. But if you have nothing to cut down to, you have no physique, you haven't built the physique for years, then there's nothing to cut to, so you're just gonna look skinny at best. So that's the problem with cutting. So it's not really for beginners or any of those people who don't have any muscle mass to begin with. That cutting is pointless. You should just focus on bulking up. Now, with the misinformation spread, as well as talking about the real purpose of cutting and bulking and maintaining, I would say that if you start the real purpose of these things, you have to evaluate your situation and then apply these different tactics according to that. Now, with the YouTubers like Greg Doucette, Kino Body, etc., probably like Atlinax, V-Shred, whatever, they're all promoting the certain physique that you should be able to achieve in a certain amount of time, which is not true usually in their case. And this is the problem with the misinformation spread we have nowadays. And I've noticed that there's a certain sense of just doing it for the views and saying what they want to hear, in a sense like, oh, you can do this in this amount of time, oh, you just have to do this and you'll get this body. It's like, it's a nice marketing plan, but it's not gonna work. Now the real problem is the bad advice being given to people, and all of these people have a massive following too, so we're talking millions of people are being affected by these people who are giving out terrible information on YouTube fitness. As well as I just wanted to get more into as well how to actually build the muscle, which is you want to apply bulking. Like if you're a beginner, first 2 years pretty much just bulk. There's nothing else you need to do. You can cut it in between the bulk if you want to do like 2 bulks, like one a year, and then cut down back if you're really. A lot of people make the mistake of bulking too much too early, so they're eating way too much, they don't know how to count their calories. So you have to learn nutrition, training, and all these different aspects of lifting before you can really start doing things properly. So with bulking, you want to enter a lean bulk specifically, so increase your calories maybe by, I would say, minimum 200 up maximum of 500, but usually lean bulk is around 200 to 300 calories, I would say, at the beginning, and then you slowly increase calories over time and maintain significant data on your actual weight, so that you know your weekly weights, and you can see from your weekly weights if your weight is increasing over time or decreasing over time, or just check it like every few days, so that you can know if you're actually increasing weight still or if you're stalling inherently. So you want to keep the bulk going. And with different principles of training, nutrition, it's very important to learn these things like counting calories, what kind of foods to eat, what kind of a training program you should focus on, what depending on your goals, hypertrophy or strength or power building, whatever you want to do. That is very important to learn pretty fast if you want to make good progress at the gym. And honestly, on this topic, I think the problem with cutting as well as Maingaining in general is the fact that Maingaining as a term is terrible, because it usually just means recomping or cutting, which is weird. It's almost the same thing now with the same word. Now I think these words need to be defined better nowadays, and we need to also set them in stone, and there needs to be a sense of how could you say this, there needs to be a sense of consistency in the YouTube fitness community, where people know what these words mean instantly when they hear them and they can apply it, rather than spreading misinformation and changing what the words mean all the time. It doesn't make any sense. And that's pretty much it as far as this topic. As far as any final tidbits I have about this topic, I would say really consider who you're taking your information from when it comes to YouTube fitness. And in the future, don't be one of those people who fall for these bad habits and misinformation spreads on YouTube fitness, and try to at least stay on your path and learn from the actual best naturals out there on YouTube, and really try to stay on course with your own path and remember what you want to